I never thought something as simple as a voice message could make me question my sanity. My mom and I send them every day. It's our little habit. But one night she heard something in mine.
Something that wasn't me.
I live alone in a 5th-floor apartment in the city. My name's Emily. I'm 27, work in graphic design, and I've always been the type to over-communicate with my mom. Every day we send voice messages back and forth, usually quick updates about work, food, or a funny thing that happened. It's comforting, even if it's a little silly for a grown adult to rely on voicemails as a main form of communication. I was standing by my bed one night sorting laundry. I had my phone in my hand, dictating a message to my mom about how much I hated folding fitted sheets. I laughed and mumbled half-jokingly, "It's like wrestling a tiny, uncooperative octopus." I hit send and set my phone on the nightstand. 2 minutes later, her reply came in. "Who's in the room with you?" I frowned. "It's just me, Mom," I said aloud, chuckling nervously. Weird question. I tapped play on her voice message again. That's when I heard it. Beneath her voice, faint but unmistakable, there was a deep, guttural whisper. Not my mom, not me. A male voice, low and hoarse, almost like it was coming from the walls themselves. I froze, my hands gripping the laundry. My apartment was quiet. TV off. Radio off. My cat, who had been curled on the couch, didn't move. I pressed replay. The whisper was still there. I couldn't make out words, just a sound, menacing and alive. I spent the rest of the night trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a glitch in the voice-to-text app. Maybe my mom had some background noise I didn't hear. I even replayed old messages to check. Nothing. Only that one. Life went on. I still sent daily voice messages, but I avoided talking about the incident until a week later. I was sending a message to my friend Sarah about a podcast I'd been binging. I was standing in the exact same spot by my bed. 10 seconds after sending, her reply came in. "Who's there with you?" My heart skipped. I tapped play. Beneath her voice was the same guttural whisper, coming from the same place, in the same tone. My blood ran cold. I paused, trying to breathe. I replayed it 3 more times. It was definitely a voice. Not me, not the cat, not the neighbors. Something else. Something in my apartment. I decided to test it. I grabbed my phone, went to the middle of the room, and recorded 20 seconds of dead air. Then I listened. There it was. The whisper again. Faint, buried in the background. I didn't know what to do. So I called my friend Max. He works as an audio technician. I sent him the recording and asked him to take a look. 2 days later, he emailed me a file. "Cleaned it up," he wrote. "Listen." I pressed play. It was now perfectly clear. A man's voice, rough, low, deliberate.
"He took Sally in the attic, and I heard what he did. He took Sally in the attic, and I heard what he did."
I live on the top floor. My apartment has an attic. I froze. My chest felt tight. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew I had to check. I opened the attic hatch. Darkness, cold air, natural chill from the small vent above. Nothing else. No one, not even dust disturbed. I did some digging online, trying to find anything about past incidents in my building. Nothing came up. I decided to ask around. One day, I spoke to Mrs. Hargrove, an older neighbor who's lived here since the 80s. She looked nervous when I mentioned the attic. Her hands shook as she took a deep breath. "Come to my apartment," I said. She followed me inside. She gestured for me to tell her about the spot where I heard the voice. I explained it, step by step. Her eyes went wide. She whispered, "Oh my God." Then she told me a story I'll never forget. Back in the 1980s, there was a man, a serial rapist and murderer, who managed to get into the top floor apartment. Frank and his wife Sally lived there. The intruder told Frank that his car had overheated and he needed some water. Frank let him in. thinking it was harmless. But the man was violent. He assaulted Frank and tied him to the bed, stacking dinner plates on his chest and warning him that if he made a sound, he would kill Sally. Sally screamed too much, so the intruder took her into the attic, where he raped and assaulted her for days before killing her. Frank remained tied, slowly asphyxiated, forced to hear every horrifying thing the man did to his wife. The intruder was caught years later, through DNA evidence. A tragedy. Mrs. Hargrove looked at me with tears in her eyes. Go to heaven, Frank. That's where Sally is. Not here. We both heard a sudden knock in the attic. Silence followed. My stomach sank. I went home that night, terrified. The next few days I avoided the attic, but I kept recording voice messages in the same spot. Nothing. Dead silence. No whispers. Life returned to normal as it could after something like that. I still send voice messages every day, to my mom, to my friends,